On Larry King Now, Jay Baruchel.
If we've done our jobs correctly, we've done a fusion of punk rock and opera, of Trailer Park Boys and Ben-Hur. It should be funny, but it should also be electric and entertaining and action-packed, and hopefully, if we've done our jobs, we sneak some emotion in there, too.
What took you to directing?
It's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a kid.
Okay, a lifetime dream, 9 years old. What was it like?
Everything I'd hoped it would be, and heartburn.
What's your relationship like with Jonah Hill?
There is one, I guess. I know the man. It was contentious once upon a time, but I think now we're sort of, we're each the devil the other one knows.
Plus, thanks to my guest, Jay Baruchel, Baruchel.
Fine.
Well,
it's Baruchel, really. It's a Hebrew word, yeah.
It's Jewish.
Yes. Blessed is God, Baruchel.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Eloheinu
melech haolam. All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest is actor Jay Baruchel, the actor, comedian, screenwriter, director, and producer. You know him from Knocked Up, Man Seeking Woman, Tropic Thunder, and This Is the End. Jay directed, co-wrote, and stars in Goon, Last of the Enforcers. It's in theaters and on demand September 1st. You co-wrote, you starred in the first Goon installment. Who came up with this idea to do a movie about hockey enforcers?
Yeah, it was, I was very fortunate how it was kind of dropped in my lap. Was these producers had the rights to a book called Goon, because the first movie is sort of loosely inspired by a true story. And they approached a friend of mine to adapt it, Evan Goldberg, and he very kindly said, I would love to, but I don't know anything about hockey, but my friend Jay is a religious hockey fan, and I know he likes writing. And so he and I kind of got together, and we put our heads together, and we saw that this is like very fertile ground for storytelling.
Who's it modeled after?
So in our hero, Doug Glatt, there's sort of two main inspirations. There's the real Doug Smith, who is, that's who the book is based on. But his story hits all the sort of Hollywood mile markers, and it was a bit too sweetness and light for our tastes. And so what we did was we took him as a jumping off point, and then we kind of fused it with my dad's experiences. My entire understanding of hockey and hockey fighting is all inherited through my father. And my father was a Jewish immigrant in Montreal, and hockey, and he was a fighter on his team. And so in our household, the players that were lionized were always hockey fighters.
Did he play in the National Hockey League?
He never did. Oh gosh, no. But he played for the Bethel Wings when he was 16, 17 years old.
I'm a hockey fan.
Yeah.
Enforcers are not good players.
It depends.
They come in to beat up the other guy and take them both out of the game.
It depends. I think it's slightly maybe a bit more gray area than that. I think there in the 90s you had a lot of stock guys who couldn't skate worth a damn. And
guy on Philadelphia.
Yeah,
famous
that's who started it. The Bod Street Bullies started the whole thing, and then it became the model that was replicated. But I posit that the kind of most important fighters in hockey history were all pretty good skaters as well.
Is this a comedy?
It is, as well as, if we've done our jobs correctly, we've done a fusion of punk rock and opera, of Trailer Park Boys and Ben-Hur. It should be funny, but it should also be electric and entertaining and action-packed, and hopefully, if we've done our jobs, we sneak some emotion in there, too.
What took you to directing?
It's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a kid.
More than acting?
Oh, by far. You know, my first day on set as an actor, I was 12 years old. By that point, that was year 3 of me telling my parents I wanted to be a director. 9 was when I had the light bulb moment. When my
really?
Yeah, and it's all, again, because of my folks, because we didn't have much money, but we were religious movie fans. And so every Friday and Saturday night, Dad would rent 1 or 2 videos. And I'd wake up early the next morning, and if they were still in the VCR, it meant I was allowed to watch them. If they were back in their case, it meant it was too racy. And so what this meant was, for the bulk of my childhood, I watched on average 2 to 4 movies every single week. And all the books I ever got were film theory books and random things, and I would just hold myself up in my bedroom committing to memory all these weird little synopses and crew lists of movies I'd never seen, and I just fell in love. It's the greatest art form the world's come up with.
Was this your first time you directed?
Directing a feature film, yeah. I before this I had directed one short film and an episode of a TV show. But yeah, no, I jumped in with both feet.
Okay, a lifetime dream. 9 years old. What was it like?
Everything I'd hoped it would be, and heartburn. It is.
Well, it's your baby.
That's the thing, and a director's purview is all-encompassing, and you have to have an answer and the right answer, and an opinion on every aspect of the production, and there's just always something to worry about. That being said, I have such a reverence for the form. I have such a reverence for cinema that I knew, and I've been wanting this since I was a child, that I was like, I've got to make this the best thing possible.
Are you in the movie too?
I'm in about 4 or 5 scenes, as much as I can stomach watching myself.
You don't like acting?
I like it and I respect it, and I'm very grateful because it's afforded me and my mom and my sister lives we wouldn't have otherwise had. That's just the God's honest truth. But I was always in acting as a means of being part of movies, not the other way around.
Is this a movie for Americans as well as Canadians?
Yes.
Do you have to be a hockey aficionado to appreciate it?
No, I think if you dig hockey, you probably really like the movie. But I also think that we built this movie so that ideally you see the first one and then ours. But even if you miss the first one and you don't know anything about hockey, you should be able to just sit down and enjoy this flick.
Was the first one a hit?
It was, yeah.
Who directed it?
My friend Michael Dowse, a very, very talented director, and my general, and we wrote this script for him to direct, and only when he wasn't able to step to the fore was I asked if I could take over.
Our guest is actor and now director Jay Baruchel. Coming up, we're discussing why he might be the proudest Canadian in Hollywood. We'll be right back. We're back with Jay Baruchel. Goon, Last of the Enforcers, will be in theaters and on demand September 1st. You've worked with Apatow. What's that like?
Oh, he's a lovely, lovely man.
He directed you?
Yes. So I worked for Judd twice. Once when I was 18 on a show called Undeclared, and then once on a movie called Knocked Up. And you work for him, and it's one of these things where it kind of spoils you for a lot of the rest of your career. Because it's a really creative atmosphere, and he wants everyone to take ownership of their characters, and he wants everyone to feel free to contribute and make it your own. And you're not always afforded that freedom.
That's pretty loose.
It can be, yeah, it can be, and it's all sort of under his watchful eye. And so that's it also is a great bit of acting school, because it forces you to constantly try to make the best decision you can.
And you've also worked with Seth Rogen, right? Mm-hmm. What's he like to work with?
He's
a friend of yours.
He is. I've known him since we were both 18, and he's someone I refer to as my blood. And yeah, he's just at this point it's like it's my family. So it's lovely to work with your family.
How do you explain it that these Canadian kids have made good south of the border? Without having to come in with our customs.
No, I think, we've been coming down here since the silent era. Mary Pickford was a Canadian, and there's not been an era in Hollywood history where we weren't sort of overrepresented. And God knows, there's whole documentaries and books written about that exact thing. Is why the heck are we so? Because we're a very small population, literally 1/10 the population of the United States. You guys, 300 million, we're 30 million. So
you got famous in America first, though, right?
I more or less, yeah. I had done a bit of kids acting, kid TV shows in Canada, some of which I'm still quite recognized for back there. But I wasn't sort of the lead in TV shows or any of that stuff until I kind of came down here. And what's so funny is, like, there's this kind of quintessential self-hating Canadian thing of it used to be you're nobody until you make it in London, and then it became you're nobody until you make it in New York or LA, and they're far kinder. They're far kinder to Canadian media is far kinder to Canadians that succeed outside of Canada. It seems that's changing, hopefully. And
you're a pro-Canadian guy, right? And
I am.
You're like big for Canada.
Yes, I am.
So one thing I love Canadians, and you have a great national anthem.
I agree completely.
Much better than ours. Oh, Canada.
I agree completely. No, I was. I had no choice in that matter. I was raised in a very patriotic household.
But you continue to live in Canada.
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Does that make it hard to get work south? I mean,
it depends what your aspirations are, and
because you don't have to live in L.A.
I think once you get to a certain level, you maybe don't have to, but it also depends on what's most important for you. And I'm not really chasing the sort of movie star, leading man, brass ring at all. I'm much more interested in trying to make TV shows and movies in Canada and trying to get butts in the seats for us.
Do Canadians treat you differently than Americans?
Yeah, it depends which ones, I guess. But yeah, I like to put it sort of like in Canada. If there's one place in the world where I'm famous, it would be Canada. Here, I'm sort of whatever, quasi-recognizable. But the nicest thing about being home is, for whatever reason, people feel like they know me. And so when I get people come up to me in the airport or a restaurant or something like that, it's always like, oh, hey, Jay, how are you? Hey, dude, hey, great to see you. Can I get a picture? And it's this lovely thing where... And I just assume for whatever reason they watch me, they don't hate me, and maybe they feel like they know me, and that's a kind of a neat thing to be taken ownership of.
Canadians invented hockey, did they not?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And how do you feel now that it's become so international? The National Hockey League used to be all Canadians, couple Americans.
Yep.
Now you got them everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because, it's more important to be number one at a sport that everyone plays than to be number one at a sport that's only played in 4 countries in the world.
Why does it? It is a sport though.
Yep.
That has an enforcer. Mm-hmm. I guess
not really anything else. No. Lacrosse.
An enforcer comes in to beat up on the other team's enforcer or star.
It depends. It depends what the situation requires. They're there as a deterrent. They're there to mete out justice when required, and it's more a threat. It's the deterrent thing of our star player. I don't want anyone hassling him, and if that guy on the other bench knows that if he takes a run at my boy, he's going to pay a price for it, he maybe thinks twice about it.
Up next, we're talking guilty pleasures and superpowers with Jay Baruchel. Stay with us. The movie is Goon, Last of the Enforcers. Don't go away. Jay Baruchel is the guest. The film is Goon, Last of the Enforcers. It's in theaters and on demand September 1st. Your Prime Minister is very popular everywhere around the globe. Is he just as popular in Canada?
He is, definitely.
He's a incredible guy. His father was too.
That's the thing. It's sort of, we're in part 2 of Trudeau Mania, and I grew up in a household where my mother was an avowed Trudeau maniac in the first era. And I will say this, though, if he gets anywhere in the world, it's in Canada. So like everyone loves him, but he gets a lot of crap for being pretty. I think.
But he is pretty.
Yes, he is a very.
He'd
pretty
be reelected tomorrow.
Yes, he would. I think.
What do you make of what's going on here with our president? So funny. Everywhere I go, I've been in Norway, I've been in England. Every time the name comes up.
Yeah, I think. It would be entertaining if it wasn't so horrifying to live next to.
It's a movie that's hard to believe.
It is true, yeah. It feels like an alternate timeline.
Jay, we're going to play a game of If You Only Knew. I just fire some questions at you.
Let's do it.
Childhood celebrity crush.
Alanis Morissette.
Current celebrity crush.
Larry King.
Oh, Oh, you hit the right chord there. Guilty pleasure.
MTV's Catfish.
Secret talent.
Oh, that's a good question. Secret talent. I'm a very good marksman.
Really?
I like to think so, yeah.
Person you trade places with for a day.
Person I would trade places with for a day. Yeah, I'd like to be David Cronenberg. That'd be interesting.
Weirdest job you've ever had.
I was in a commercial when I was 15 for a Pillsbury product that never actually launched, which was this Pillsbury sliced bread. That was like...
It never came out?
They made a commercial for the Chicago test market, and I guess there wasn't an appetite for their sliced bread, so I don't know where that is, but yeah.
What never fails to make you laugh?
Never fails to make me laugh. Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, and Monty Python.
Superpower you'd like to have?
Oh, telekinesis. Yeah.
Last time you were starstruck?
Oh, last time I was starstruck. Being on an airplane with Brian De Palma.
Great director.
Yes, one of my favorites.
He laid everything out,
Yep.
De Palma.
That's
every scene,
Yep,
everything,
right.
and he drew them out.
Yep, gorgeous.
What do Americans get wrong about Canada?
How much time do we have?
What do Canadians get wrong about America?
Precious little, but I think bad PR. So squeaky wheel gets the grease, so the Americans we see on TV are maybe not the best ambassadors for the country.
If you weren't an actor or director, what field would you be in?
Oh, I would be in a connected field. I'd be like, if they still had video stores, I'd be working at a video store. Just get a chance to watch.
Wouldn't want to manage a hockey team? General manager?
Oh gosh, I don't. That seems like a lot of stress.
Best compliment you ever received?
Your mom should be proud.
Something you wish you were better at?
Oh God, how much time do you have? Talking to crowds.
You get nervous? That's the biggest fear people have.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm very, very ill at ease in front of more than 7 people.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I do. I love to.
You thrive on it.
Something you longed to believe to be true and realized wasn't?
Oh, that the world's a nice place.
Good answer. Tell me something people don't know about you.
Oh, far more. I think I grew up a bit more blue collar than I seem, maybe, and massive history nerd. So
you are?
Yeah, that's most
world history.
Yeah, specific. Yes, and I have certain eras that speak to me more. But
like what's your favorite era?
I would say the 100 Years' War, Henry V, Joan of Arc, all that entire century is pretty incredible, and specifically British and Canadian history are my favorites.
Jay will answer your social media questions in our final segment. Plus, we'll discuss saying goodbye to man-seeking woman. We'll be right back. We're back with Jay Baruchel. Goon, Last of the Enforcers, will be in theaters and on demand September 1st. Before we get to some social media questions, I had your Man is Seeking Woman co-star Eric Andre on the show.
Apologies.
The man, is he certifiable?
Yes.
And is he now in some kind of asylum?
You should get help soon. Yeah.
Does he walk the streets?
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, they had that. All those asylums had that sort of movement in the 70s where they just opened them up and let everyone go out and about in the public.
Where is he now?
I have no clue. Looney bin, I assume. No, but I'll say this, though. For as insane as he is and fearless, he's an incredibly old-fashioned and pretty moral dude on the inside. And he and I, for the most part, are the bulk of our interactions are incredibly earnest and usually just because he's a history nerd as well.
He was a wild guest.
He is a wild man, but also a huge nerd.
Man Seeking Woman was canceled this year after its 3rd year. Disappointed?
Yes and no, because at least we'd given the world three awesome seasons, and we went into season 3 knowing that this might be our last, and so we had built and designed the arc of that season to fit in perfectly as a good sort of ending for what the story we were telling.
Some social media questions. Jake Thompson on our blog, is there a role or project you wish you were better known for? Or a role, what's the role you're most proud of?
Oh, cool. So I do a lot. I made a lot of movies in Canada that, for whatever reason, didn't get sort of seen much outside of there. And one of them is a movie called Real Time that I did, where it's just a two-hander, me and Randy Quaid in a car driving around Hamilton,
really?
Ontario for 90 minutes. Just a two-hander, the two of us, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of.
Real Time.
Yeah.
Hank Adzik, what's your relationship like with Jonah Hill?
There is one, I guess. I know the man.
Don't like him?
No, I wouldn't say that. At this point,
What would you say?
It was contentious once upon a time, but I think now we're sort of, we're each the devil the other one knows.
Chloe Sullivan, this I don't know what he's talking about. Do you love poutine?
Oh, yes.
And you please explain what makes it so delicious.
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay, so poutine is this Canadian sort of specialty that on paper sounds repulsive, which is French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. And you eat it with a fork.
French fries, cheese curds, and gravy.
Yep.
Sounds like pre-heart attack.
Yes. Pre, during, in the midst of, yeah. But is it ever delicious for whatever reason?
And where you buy it, is it stores in Canada?
No, it's like something you go to a greasy spoon for, and it'll cure what ails you.
Can you make it at home?
Yeah, it'll probably be, but yeah, especially if I'm making it.
Can you see yourself focusing more on directing now in the future?
I will make movies as long as someone lets me. That's all I've ever wanted.
You ever want to direct a play?
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. That would be the most fun.
Do you ever have a dream project?
Oh, yes, indeed. There's a bunch of stories that I'm very, very interested in, not the least of which is about the sort of 1941 invasion of Hong Kong, which is a sort of ill-reported, because it happened literally the day after Pearl Harbor. So history.
Hong Kong was invaded?
Yeah, the Japanese took Hong Kong the day after they took Pearl Harbor, and
I did not know that.
And it was Canadian soldiers that were tasked with defending Hong Kong, and yeah, so it's a very
Hong Kong was then a
British.
British.
And Churchill was focused on the war in Europe, and so had asked for Canada to take care of Hong Kong, and so and it wasn't under threat of Japan when we got there.
Did Japan take it?
Yeah. Yep, and then that was sort of during the same era around rape of Nanking and that whole awful time, you know, and yeah, there were Canadians front and center in the fighting this uphill battle, trying to defend this tiny spot.
Roosevelt declared war December 8th.
Yep.
Did Canada declare war?
Canada declared war in 1939. Canada declared war. We were the second or third country to declare war on Nazi Germany when they invaded Poland. And that's something that, and I come from a military family. My mom's 6 of 8 kids all grew up on army bases. My granddad, a lot of my uncles, my cousins, all soldiers. And we have a very proud tradition. And yeah, and we've always punched above our weight. You know, if there's 30 million of us now, in World War II there was like less than 20, and Nazi Germany was one of the greatest military powers the world had ever seen, and we didn't hesitate, and we jumped right in there.
Tell me about, before we end things, the mounted police. Are they a national police force? Are they like an FBI?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But they're a weird. It's like in some parts of Canada, they have the sort of local jurisdiction as well. So they are the FBI, and until like 10 years ago, they were the main sort of counterterrorism task force. In addition to, they have beat cops on a lot of, because a lot of
They
Canada,
still wear those round hats and
only in ceremonies. Oh, that's a ceremonial thing. My Uncle Ron was a Mountie for 30 years. Yep.
Great meeting you, man.
Likewise.
Thanks to my guest, Jay Baruchel.
Fine.
Well,
it's Baruchel, really. It's a Hebrew word, yeah.
It's Jewish.
Yes. Blessed is God, Baruchel.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Elohim
Melech Holom, Borei Pri Agosha. You don't know.
You don't want this.
Anyway, thanks to Jay the Jew. Jay the Jew. Would that be a good title? That's the name of the movie. Goon, starring Jay the Jew, last of the enforcers. It's in American theaters and Yiddish theaters, September 1st, and you can get it on demand too. Just demand it.
Shtickle for a pickle. Pickle
Stickle for a pickle. You can always find me on Twitter at King's Things. See you next time, and shalom.